there, crafty friends. It's Sharon Luska from My Crafty Greetings, and you're joining me today as part of the hop for the 500 subscriber YouTube hop for Keionna, the craft therapist. She is an absolutely fantastic gal, hardworking and loving, reaches out to everybody. She's kind and supportive, and she's pretty brilliant in the craft room. And I have to say, she did inspire me today for this little bit of crafty goodness that I'm sending your way. When we were doing our last Team Tiny Hop, she had done a card, a rain slider card or a rain shaker card, and she had used beads. And I decided that I would haul out my beads and show you all some of the things that I like to do when I'm making flowers and how I use beads in card making. So I've just got a piece of dark purple craft stock here, and I'm just taking it with my scissors and doing some wiggly lines, and I'm just going to be cutting out some flower bases, I guess you maybe want to call them, little pieces that are going to look like salvia, if you know what that is, or veronica. You can look them up. Maybe a little bit like a grape hyacinth. Anyways, I've hauled out a whole selection of glues here. There's a few things that I like to buy, and glues are one of them. I'm a little bit of a glue aficionado, maybe. Anyways, so I'm gonna try these different glues minus the E600 because that's pretty thick. But I've got a good load of glossy accents going on here, and I'm going to be gluing most of the beads onto my projects today with glossy accents, but I'm also going to be using some of the quick whatever it is here and craft bond and some of the bead perfect there. So anyways, I'm getting these all dosed up with some gluey goodness, and I'm going to shake the beads all over the place to make sure that they're covering the cardstock fairly well. And then I'm going to pat the beads down so that they're not sticking up like these huge mountains on these poor little flowers. And yeah, so I haven't opened this one for a while. I'm squeezing, and squeezing really hard. And it's coming, oh, these darn tubes. Oh no. I couldn't believe it. All over everything. Just everywhere. So anyways, nonetheless, I decided to scoop up some of that glue and add some more beads to it. And then I decided to save what I could of the ones that I'd already done, and I'm just going to mix the glue and the beads together here and see maybe if I can use that to stick it on to some of my little flower forms here. I'm scooping it up and then I'll pat that down. Now, mind you, I'm going to recommend that this is not the way that you bead up your flower backgrounds for this. It's better to get the glue on and then shake the beads in place after that, and you'll be a lot less messy. Now this is a particularly gooey one, and I think this is where I finally decided that I was really liking the glossy accents the best for adhering the beads together. Is these other glues have a pretty hefty smell to them. This one's very similar to the E600, and it's very sticky, very sticky. Like, glue your butt to a seat by accident, sticky. Glue your fingers together, sticky. Glue everything, sticky. So anyways, once those dried, I kind of went through my little pile here and investigated. And as I was looking at them, I noticed that the glossy accents ones ended up being nice and flat, and they ended up being the best looking. So now this is a funky pattern, excuse me, of a background that I like to do, and I've got a really pretty piece of textured paper here. Don't ask me where I got it. It was in some box. I don't know. There used to be paper that came kind of in a box, and I can't remember the name of the company. I'll see if I can post it. And what you do is you take and you line the edges of one piece of paper, and then you cut it so that the split is over top of your accent piece of paper. Now I'm taking some of this hemp cord here and I'm coloring it up with a Copic. I only opened my package of Copics just maybe a week and a half ago. So I figured I may as well put them to use and color these stems up. And you'll notice off to the right hand side there's a little punch out of some leaves. I'm going to be using that later on. And what I'm doing here is using some art glitter glue and just adding a little tunnel for the piece to sit over top of the stems there. Now this is already dried on the flowers, and I'm just going to glue the stems in place. I already pulled the little leaves off of that punch out and folded them in half and glued them in place. Now I've got this piece of ribbon, and here's a sneaky trick for being able to make a ribbon look like it's tied around your bouquet when it's actually not, and then that saves bulk on your card. Just tie a knot in it. Just a loop around and then tuck through, and then put a little bit of glue dot on the back, or of course you know I like to do my glue boogers, where I just pull it off of my ATG and ball it up and stick it back behind there. It's always on my desk, it's always available, and it's cheap and easy. So I'm just trimming up the stems here, and I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I'm going to come back to it and get my sentiment. Here it is for you. Of course, you can see the one that I made way back when to the left there, and I finally did put a sentiment on this one. So the next one here, I've got out some Martha Stewart punches, and I don't even know what that one is, but I got some punches out here. And I'm just going to dimensionalize these flowers here and glue them together. And then I'm going to be making some extra beady centers for all of these flowers with some beads in my stash. So one of the things, if you're going to be doing beaded flowers, whether it's centers or flowers themselves, you want to make sure that the background doesn't interfere with what it is that you're making. So if I was to take these beads and put them over the yellow, that yellow is going to show through. So punching out a circle of black, or just hand cutting out a circle of black, and then putting these really shiny pretty black beads into the glossy accents there, just finishes it off really nicely and makes it look really pretty. So while I'm fussing around with this here, you're going to see my card sample in a second. I just wanted to do a little housekeeping and make sure that everyone knew listed below in the drop down box is going to be the next person, the next stop on the hop, and there is going to be a bunch of prizes that are being given away. So you want to leave comments at all of the participants in the hop, and Keionna will be drawing for at least 5 prizes. I think it might even be 6, because I made sure that there was another one from Jamie's shop, the Not Too Shabby shop, and she's been a really great support for our group. We see her all the time, and she's just a fabulous gal, and great products too in her shop. Anyways, yeah, so if you go to Keionna's site, you will see the I guess the rules, regulations, or whatever. We may even have them in the drop down box by the time this gets posted, but you'll have to look below. And if not, you're definitely going to end up at her video, and she'll have all the information there. And anyways, one of the other things too that she had asked us is to talk about what crafting or what the YouTube community means to us. And for me, I'm kind of in a funny position. I was in a car accident at 17, and at my mid to late 40s now, I'm starting to actually have a lot more problems with my back than I had previously, which includes now, well, lots of therapy in the past, but like double the therapy now. So I watch tons of videos, and have absolutely loved all the people on YouTube over the years, watching them make videos, and it's gotten me through a lot of kind of really tough patches. Oh, this is embroidering floss, DMC, I don't know, you know the big twists that they have, but and I'm just adding glossy accents to this, and then I'm going to be beading them, and you'll see in a minute what I'm turning them into. And there's also gold thread there that I had all cut up into a little haystack. So besides watching the videos and enjoying those, especially when I'm having to be on bed rest or having to be in therapy, being in treatments, you know, which lets me watch but doesn't let me comment. All of those fun things. I'm just adding those little threads here to the tops of my little bead grains, hint, hint. So for me making videos, I just wanted to be able to share the techniques that I love for craft making and really enjoy this process for as long as I can. I know my neck is getting to the point where my poor hands are not performing the way they should, and probably at a certain point in time this is not going to be something that's going to be possible for me to do anymore, but I'm going to do it for now and enjoy it for as long as I possibly can, and hopefully, you know, everybody gets some value out of what it is that I'm able to share. Anyways, I made a little frame here, and you may have guessed that these are some wheat sheaths or oat sheaths, whichever ones you like. And I've got a piece of paper here that I'm just going to glue these down. Now I'm just using art glitter glue to glue those. So they're basically made out of glossy accents, embroidery thread, gold thread, and gold beads. And I just wanted to make them into a little clutch of wheat, and I also, because it's going to be a black card, more like a masculine card, I'm just coloring the edges of my foam tape here to make sure that it doesn't interfere with the look of the card. And I've only tacked down the front portion of this, and then I'm just showing you here, you want to slide something underneath those little hairs from the tops of the sheaths and make sure that they get to stick out instead of being tucked underneath. I looked at this card and decided it needed some gold stripes at the side, and I put a little raffia bow on there for a happy birthday. I think it makes a pretty good masculine card. I really hope you've enjoyed the techniques that I've showed you today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't subscribed, I'm sure would love if you would. And thanks for joining me. Bye.